Part 124. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 1231. Chapter 1231 The Collapse of Liuli. Don't worry you as long as my great-grandfather is still alive, no one will be allowed to bully you and your mommy. Mr. Nangong knew that he had difficulty moving, so he deliberately called Mrs. Nangong and asked her to pay attention to a woman named Zhong Yun. That woman is simply unreasonable. She even tried to enter my Nangong house and replace Liuli's position. It's really ridiculous. Mrs. Nangong originally wanted to explain, but Mr. Nangong seemed to have a bad impression of Zhong Yun. On the phone, Mr. Nangong said that Zhong Yun was rude and evil, and he sounded very angry. Mrs. Nangong did not dare to provoke the old man, so she could only agree according to his wishes without telling the truth. The old man felt much better after making a phone call. In the evening, Gongkin came to pick Xiao Yu up. The old man even held Gongkin hand and comforted her specifically, "Luli girl, it's not easy for you and Luo to get together. You must protect your marriage. Grandpa hopes that you two can take you and your family of 3 to live a happy life." Ever since the old man had lost his memory, Mrs. Nangong asked Gongkin to help coax the old man, hoping that he could live a comfortable life at the end of his life. Every word Mr. Nangong said was sincere, but for Gongkin, every word he said was so heartbreaking. She had thought about it before, but now, there is no possibility for her and Nangong Luo. "Grandpa, I understand. You can rest in peace and recuperate. Luo and I are fine. You have been the ones who came to see me these days. Why don't I see you and Luo are coming together?" Although the old man is old, he is still very smart about certain things. Gongkin still kept a smile on her face, unable to answer this complicated question. But when she saw the old man's wrinkled face full of vicissitudes of life, she felt panicked and couldn't bear to refuse. She just wanted to be nicer to the old man. In the end, Gongkin gritted her teeth and made a promise. "Luo is busy with work recently. I will ask him to accompany you as soon as he is free." These words sounded nice, but the old man still had the character of a businessman, and he wanted to make it clear to Gongkin, "You guys are here together, don't forget." Gongkin no longer remembers how she brought her daughter home. All she knew was that when she returned home, the cool breeze woke her up. Why did she agree to those things? Now she is really entangled with Nangong Luo. I'm totally devastated. Gongkin stood at the door and stamped her feet. When Xiao Yu walked up to her with small steps and stared at her with her eyes, Gongkin realized that she was already the mother of a 3-year-old child. Be careful what you say and do in life, especially in front of children. She made up a random reason as an explanation. "Ahem, my feet were itchy just now." Xiao Yu believed it and asked with concern, "Mummy, does your foot hurt?" Then do you want to see the doctor?" No, Mommy is fine, thank you for your concern." "You're welcome. You don't have to accompany your great-grandpa tomorrow." "Why?" "Because Mommy has other things to do. Can I send you to play with your brothers and sisters tomorrow?" "But you made an agreement with Grandpa." Xiao Yu firmly remembered that a person must be honest. Gongkin held her for it. She just wanted to go to Nangong Luo to act in a play tomorrow, but she couldn't bring Xiao Yu with her. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 1232. Chapter 1232, Matchmaking. Gongkin planned to take this matter later, but she didn't know how anxious Mr. Nangong was. The old man called Nangong Luo when he remembered. Nangong Luo has recently been dealing with matters of cooperation with the Zhong family and has not paid attention to the current situation of the Nangong family. When Ruhia received a call from the old man, as a filial grandson, he did not listen to a word. Yuer has been coming to talk to me recently. She has grown up and become more sensible. Yuer is somewhat similar to Yuer, and the hoarse voice is a little unclear after being transmitted through the phone. Nangong Luo thought he was talking about Yuer and listened to the old man praising him. At the beginning, Nangong Luo was still confused. Could Nangong Yu be able to patiently accompany and tell stories? Did Zhong Yun do something else? The old man read a few more sentences, and Nangong Luo finally couldn't help but ask, "Grandpa, are you talking about Yuer or Yuer? Hey, why can't you remember your own daughter's name? Your memory is even worse than that of an old man like me. Isn't it the daughter of Yu and Li Yulai that I'm talking about? Is there anyone else?" As soon as these words came out, Nangong Luo was stunned. He even suspected that he had been hearing hallucinations due to his recent overwork. "Grandpa, are you talking about Li Yulai, Yuer?" "Ah, you brat, what's your tone?" the old man said for a while and wanted to take a rest, but he was still mumbling, "Remember to come see me with Li Yulai tomorrow. It's been a long time since I've seen you here together." Without waiting for Nangong Luo to ask clearly, the old man hung up the phone neatly. Li Yulai's name was spinning in his mind. Nangong Luo rubbed his head, and when he looked at the report numbers on his desk, they were already confused. With the seeds of doubt planted in his heart, Nangong Luo went straight to wait and see the next day. At around 5:30, Nangong Luo stood upstairs and watched a mother and daughter holding hands walking slowly from a distance. They entered the house with ease. Nangong Luo's heart rippled. Gongqin Li brought Xiao Yuer here today because Xiao Yuer said yesterday that she had agreed to meet the old man. Xiao Yuer showed the new pencil she got in kindergarten to the old man. "Grandpa, look, Yuer got a reward today. Hey, my Yuer is really awesome." The teacher also praised Yuer. Yesterday, Xiao Yuer told the old man that the kindergarten assigned them a painting assignment. Xiao Yuer promised that if they got a reward, they would bring gifts to the old man. The old man couldn't use this pencil, but his thoughtfulness made him really happy. "What did you draw yesterday? Can you show it to Grandpa?" "Good." Xiao Yuer opened her school bag and took out a piece of drawing paper. Hand holding the drawing paper in his little hand, he slowly opened it and showed it to him. The old man put on his reading glasses and looked at the picture. He saw a house with red tiles and a large yard. There were two people standing inside. They were a woman with long hair holding a child with a pair of ponytails. From the child's picture, you can tell at a glance that it is a mother holding her daughter's hand and standing in a yard full of flowers. Looking again, there is an old man with white hair sitting next to the house. Children's paintings are not very refined. They are all guessed based on the general shape and color. Xiao Yuer drew her and her mother. Later, she thought of making her great-grandpa happy, so she painted her and her mother. The old man was very happy when he saw it. But he was even more curious, "Why didn't you draw your dad on it?" End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1233. Chapter 1233. He is not an uncle, he is a daddy. Daddy. Xiao Yuer read this unfamiliar title and turned back to look at Gongqin Li. Gongqin Li was about to find an excuse to cover up when someone suddenly pushed the door open and came in. "Sorry, I'm late." As soon as he finished speaking, Nangong Luo appeared at the door. Gongqin Li raised her eyes, and their eyes met. Gongqin Li's embarrassed expression froze on her face, and Xiao Yuer opened her mouth and shouted, "Uncle." Mr. Nangong still thinks he heard it wrong. "Yuer, what did you call him?" "Uncle, Before Xiao Yuer could shout this time, Gongqin Li quickly pulled her to her side and covered her mouth. "Yuer, don't shout yet." But this has attracted the attention of Mr. Nangong. The old man persisted and asked, Don't pull the child. What did she call Luo Er just now? Uncle. Gong Qinli insisted on denying it. Grandpa, you heard wrong. The old man put on a straight face and asked seriously, although I am old, my ears are still old, so what do you think she was shouting just now? Ewer means trees. Yes, there are so many trees in this painting that she can't even draw. Daddy. Gong Qinli blurted out a reason, but Gong Qinli regretted it right after she said it. The old man obviously didn't believe it. Are you two hiding something from me? Gong Qinli shook her head. Nangong Luo chuckled lightly and walked up to Gong Qinli and naturally put his arm around her shoulders. Grandpa, I have been too busy to see you recently. Li Yulai scolded me yesterday. Didn't I come here to apologize? Gong Qinli and Nangong Luo's temperament is very clear. If they give a serious explanation, it will make people confused. But a few jokes mixed in with it confused the old man. The old man nodded doubtfully. Oh, work is also important. After all, you are now the pillar of the Nangong family. But why do you think it's weird? Gong Qinli and Nangong Luo. No one expected this encounter, they hadn't had time to breathe, so it was of course a surprise. Gong Qinli shrugged, actually trying to break free. But when Nangong Luo sensed her intention, not only did he not let go, but he took this opportunity to hug her even tighter. Xiao Yuer looked confused. Gong Qinli reached behind her back and grabbed Nangong Luo. If you don't let go, Yuer will be exposed. These words had an effect, and Nangong Luo reluctantly let her go. Nangong Luo sat by the bed and asked the old man about his current health, while Gong Qinli pulled Xiao Yuer aside to teach temporarily. Yuer, let's play a role-playing game. Uncle Nangong will temporarily become your father in a while. You can't call uncle, but change your name to daddy. Can you do it? Gong Qinli had no time to explain to her daughter, so she could only make up an excuse. Xiao Yuer nodded as if she didn't understand. Gong Qinli took a deep breath. At this moment, the old man called them together. Luo Er, Li Yulai, Grandpa's vision was really right. Seeing that you two are so happy now, Grandpa will feel relieved even if he dies. Grandfather! Grandfather! The two spoke in unison and looked at each other. The man's feelings were hidden deeper, so Gong Qinli said for him, Grandpa, you can't talk nonsense. You still have to be healthy and watch Yuer grow up. The old man nodded and responded, yes, I still want to watch my great-grandson grow up. Yuer, come here. Great-grandfather. Grandpa doesn't want this pen anymore, but can you help me draw another picture? End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1234. Chapter 1234. Li Yulai scolds Xiao Yuer. Okay, painting is not difficult for Xiao Yuer, so she readily agreed. He even asked specifically, what painting does Grandpa want to see? It's just your painting today, but I hope you can add your dad to it if you feel that the painting book is not enough. My great-grandpa will buy you big drawing paper. Daddy. While chanting softly in her mouth, Xiao Yuer raised her head and looked at Nangong Luo. Nangong Luo bent down and reached out to pick her up. Xiao Yuer, please promise me, my grandpa will be happy. Hearing that this would make Grandpa happy, Xiao Yuer smiled and agreed. They also role-play when playing games with other children in kindergarten, so she knows now that Daddy represents Nangong Luo. Yuer will give the painting to Grandpa tomorrow. Okay, we agreed again. Gong Qinli really doesn't want to come back. It's not that I'm tired of visiting Mr. Nangong, but I don't want such an embarrassing scene to happen again. In the past, I had no grudges when joking with Nangong Luo or pretending to be a couple, but now she is a married man. The most disgusting thing is that Nangong Luo took advantage of her when she left. Out of the door, Gong Qinli's expression immediately changed. Looking at Xiao Yuer, who was still held in Nangong Luo's arms, Gong Qinli reached out and asked for her daughter. But when she reached out to pick it up, Nangong Luo refused to let go. He even said, "It's not easy to see Xiao Yu'er. I want to play with her for a while." Not only did he reject her, he also asked Xiao Yu'er with ulterior motives, "Xiao Yu'er, my uncle recently found a very beautiful shop with delicious food. I'm going to take him there today to have fun." "Thank you, Daddy." Xiao Yu'er shouted seriously, which immediately stunned the two adults. Nangong Luo suddenly wanted to run in place 3 times and then burst into laughter regardless of description. He thinks these 2 words are the most common nicknames he has heard this year. Gong Qinli's mind was in a mess. The harmonious atmosphere almost made her forget her identity. When he finally woke up, he couldn't help but yelled, "Gong Qinyu! What are you shouting?" Her expression made Xiao Yu'er a little scared. Xiao Yu'er shouted in a low voice, "Mommy." Gong Qinli said 2 words sternly, "Come down." Xiao Yu'er began to struggle. Nangong Luo held her firmly in his arms, reached out and patted her back to comfort her, "Yu'er, don't be afraid." But Xiao Yu'er was not worried about her own safety, she was more concerned about Gong Qinli's mood. Even if Nangong Luo wanted to protect her, she still struggled, "Let me go." Nangong Luo had to put her down. As soon as Xiao Yu'er's feet landed on the ground, she ran to Gong Qinli and hugged her thighs. Nangong Luo finally knew that for Xiao Yu'er, protecting her mother was the most important thing. Nangong Luo didn't know how Gong Qinli would treat the child when she was angry, but he just reminded her, "Don't be cruel to the child." Gong Qinli has a temperament that refuses to admit defeat. She is not really angry, but she does not want to reveal her weakness in front of Nangong Luo. "I will naturally educate my daughter." Gong Qinli knelt down and looked at Xiao Yu'er at eye level, "Don't yell, you don't have a daddy." But it was mommy who said she wanted to play games just now. What she meant was that she felt like playing. Gong Qinli suddenly understood and apologized to the child in her arms without hesitation, "I'm sorry, baby, it's all mommy's fault. Our game is over and we won't play it anymore." End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1235. Chapter 1235. The Third Party. Nangong Luo discovered that Gong Qinli seemed to mind that Xiao Yu'er had a relationship with him. But after all, he is not Xiao Yu'er's real father, so he cannot interfere in Gong Qinli's education of Xiao Yu'er. In fact, he searched for a long time before he found a very good store. If he wanted to take Xiao Yu'er to play, it would be best if Gong Qinli was traveling with him. But now it seems that unless she is careful, Gong Qinli will not let him have contact with Xiao Yu'er at all. Gong Qinli's reason was, "I don't want people to stir up trouble and say that I interfered in your engagement with Zhong Yun, and I don't want my daughter to be questioned by any rumors because of this." 4 years ago in this circle, Nangong Luo's public confession to Gong Qinli was hot news. Now that Gong Qinli has returned and they meet again, if they are not careful, other things may be involved. She is afraid. She was afraid that interested people would discuss her relationship with Nangong Luo, and she was even more afraid that someone would follow the clues and find out Xiao Yu'er's true life experience. Xiao Yu'er is 1 month younger than Nangong Yu, and she doesn't want to have any possibility of being discussed as a third party interfering in other people's marriages. After returning home, Xiao Yu'er brought the drawing paper to Gong Qinli and specifically asked, "Mommy, can I draw?" "Of course." "Then can I draw the daddy my great-grandfather said?" Xiao Yu'er asked specifically this time. When Gong Qinli heard this sentence, she suddenly felt a tightness in her chest. She couldn't vent her breath and felt very uncomfortable. Because her daughter's sometimes well-behaved and sensible ways really made her feel very distressed. "Yu'er, I'm sorry." "Why does mommy apologize?" "Mommy shouldn't yell at you today. I'm sorry, mommy really didn't mean it." Yu'er doesn't blame mommy. One sentence, just one sentence full of childlike innocence, made Gong Qinli's emotions collapse. She squatted and put her daughter into her arms, hugged her tightly, and kept repeating the words "I'm sorry." There are only 3 words, but the tone gradually changes. Mommy is sorry for you. This apology is not because of what happened in the afternoon, but because she selfishly wanted to leave a thought and bring a new life to this world, but she could not give her a complete family. Gongkin Li, a person who does not show weakness easily, even shed a tear when her mood was high. She reached out and wiped it away. Actually you really want a daddy, right? This sentence is what Gongkin Li has been holding in her heart for a long time. Because she remembered Xiao Yuer's expression when she was in Nangang Luo's arms this afternoon. Very happy, even a little hopeful. But in the end, that happiness and expectation were killed by her mother's own hands. Xiao Yuer hugged her waist and shook her head silently. Although it was a denial, Gongkin Li knew that Xiao Yuer was not telling the truth. Tell me the truth, do you want to hear about a daddy? Xiao Yuer hesitated for a while and replied with a hint of grievance, everyone else has a daddy. Other children all have fathers. When she first saw the family brother and sister acting coquettishly with Yezikin, she felt envious. At the age of 3, she may not understand what envy is, but she feels it in her heart. She also wants someone to hold her in their arms, let her sit on their shoulders and see far away, or lift her up high. Gongkin Li touched her daughter's cheek, stared into her bright eyes, and said seriously, as long as Yuer wants, mommy will do it. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1236. Chapter 1236, Looking for a Partner or a Daddy. Xiao Yuer didn't know what Gongkin Li's words meant, so she drew the picture overnight. On the drawing paper, there is a woman and a man standing together, holding a little girl between them, which looks very warm. The gray-haired old man under the eaves smiled and narrowed his eyes. Gongkin Li sighed deeply after seeing this painting. Thinking to myself, isn't he just a daddy? She went to find a man who was full plus. Is it okay for a fatherly man to come back and take care of his children? Gongkin Li is the kind of person who acts resolutely. She wanted to fulfill Xiao Yuer's wish, so the next day she asked Mrs. Gong to help find someone with suitable conditions for her who was full of love for the child. Mrs. Gong was happy for a while when she heard her daughter's request to find a partner. But when Gongkin Li finished speaking about her specific requirements, Mrs. Gong was speechless. Are you looking for a partner or a professional nanny? I don't need to fall in love, as long as the other person has good character and can give you the fatherly love she wants. The palace lady doesn't like to hear this. Mrs. Gong whispered in her daughter's ear, you are such a big man and you still want to do whatever you want? Don't take your own affairs seriously. Gongkin Li emphasized, I'm not fooling around. I thought clearly. I heard that you always run to Nangong's house in the end, are you still thinking about it? Hey. First of all, let me clarify that I did not run to Nangong's house. I visited Grandpa Nangong many times because I felt sympathy for him because of his deteriorating health. I hope so don't let others gossip. The mother I know. Alas, Madame Gong sighed deeply. Gongkin Li still took Xiao Yuer to the place in the afternoon and gave the painting to Mr. Nangong. As expected, Nangong Luo was waiting for them there. Gongkin Li originally planned to turn a blind eye to Nangong Luo, but the old man was so smart that he intentionally or unintentionally arranged the two of them to force a show of affection. When leaving, Nangong Luo still held Xiao Yuer, and Gongkin Li followed him. The scene of the three of them standing together was very beautiful. It was at this moment that Zhong Yun encountered this heartwarming scene. Zhong Yun was bored at home for 2 days. She felt that she needed to prove to the old man that she was Nangong Lugo's wife, but she never expected to see the three people standing together harmoniously, like a real family. It turns out that Nangong Lugo not only dotes on the Ye family brothers and sisters, but also doesn't care about her daughter Nangong Yu. Zhou Yun angrily threw the gift in his hand into the trash can and turned to leave. Nangong Lugo once again mentioned to Zhou Yun the loss of announcing the truth about contract marriage. Zhou Yun was so angry that she threw something on the floor in the room. Nangong Yu suddenly ran in. When she saw her angry mother, she didn't know how to comfort her. Instead, she happily went to pick up the fragments of things that Zhou Yun had smashed. Zhou Yun, who was furious, didn't pay much attention to it. It wasn't until Nangong Yu burst into tears that he realized that his finger had been accidentally scratched by a fragment. It hurts, it hurts. Who asked you to pick up those rubbish? It's really troublesome. Okay, stop crying, Zhou Yun complained and comforted. Nangong Yu is not the kind of child who behaves when she is comforted. She only remembers Zhou Yun scolding her, saying things like beat you while crying. Zhou Yun forcibly carried her to clean the wound. Mrs. Nangong asked her as she was passing by in the corridor. When she heard Nangong Yu's noisy crying, she didn't want to coax her. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1237. Chapter 1237. Don't take my dad away. Zhou Yun applied medicine to her daughter and put on a bandage. She felt resentful when she thought that the Nangong family was paying less attention to her and her daughter. All these changes started when Gong Qinli returned to China. That woman is really her natural enemy. Zhou Yun poked Nangong Yu's head lightly. I've been crying all day long. When your father drives us mother and son out of the house, let's see how you can be so arrogant. Why were you kicked out of the house? It's all that hateful woman. Nangong Lugo has been urging her to take the initiative to come forward, just because of the slight affection in the past. If the matter continues to be delayed, Nangong Lugo will definitely lose his patience. She spent 4 years and still couldn't change Nangong Lugo's mind, so she had to find a way to get rid of Gong Qinli. To untie the bell, the person who tied it must also be tied. She had to make Gong Qinli understand not to interfere in other people's marriages. This time, Zhou Yun carefully educated Nangong Yu for a whole day, telling her to remember how to speak. You have to listen to mommy no matter what. This time if you don't do what mommy says, you won't have a father in the future. Is someone going to steal my daddy? Yes. There is a bad woman who wants to steal your father, so you must be obedient. Nangong Yu nodded and made a possessive voice, don't my dad. Zhou Yun brought Nangong Yu to the door again. This time, he was even more ruthless. When he saw Gong Qinli, he knelt down to her. Gong Qinli was startled by Zhou Yun's unexpected action. Zhou Yun, what are you doing? Miss Gong, I know you don't like to beat around the bush with others, so I will speak directly this time. I am here to beg you today. Gong Qinli's expression was very unnatural. It's not time to greet the new year yet, so there's no need to kneel down so sincerely. Zhou Yun said, maybe this can make me feel more at ease. You get up first. No, please listen to me first. I'm here to beg you today. Okay, then you kneel down. Zhou Yun never expected that Gong Qinli would act so unconventionally. But forget it, anyway, she has only one purpose for coming here today. I'm here to beg you to give my Nangong family some peace. There's always been a distance, you'd better get up and talk first. Being kneeled down by her peers, she found it quite confusing. I don't understand this. Miss Gong, I already know that you took your daughter to visit Grandpa, and Grandpa regarded you as me. I dare not guess what you mean, but if this matter spreads, it will be a disaster for everyone. Not good. I know, I will pay attention. Did you agree? What? Have you promised to keep your distance from Lugo? Gong Qinli didn't know why Zhou Yun could jump directly from one question to another. But she understood that the purpose of Zhou Yun's visit today was to explicitly and implicitly tell her to stay away from Nangong Luo. Gong Qinli took a deep breath and reiterated, "I have no idea about him. You don't have to guard me like a thief." Zhou Yun immediately answered, "But he can't forget his old love for you. So what do you want me to do?" How Miss Gong cut off Luo's thoughts about you back then, she can do it now. Zhou Yun knocked on Nangong Yu's back at this moment. Nangong Yu, who had been silent all this time, suddenly spoke, "Auntie, please don't take away my father, okay? The next chapter will be more exciting." End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1238. Chapter 1238, Bad Woman, I'll beat you to death. Nangong Yu suddenly spoke, which had a strange impact on Gong Qinli's heart. As a mother, the most intolerable thing is the request of her children. She didn't like Zhou Yun's attitude. She could retort or ignore it with confidence, but Nangong Yu's plea made her feel like she had made a mistake. She asked herself that she was not the kind of woman who was a saint. But there is always a little more patience and kindness towards children. She told Nangong Yu, "Auntie didn't steal your father." Nangong Yu continued, "According to what Zhou Yun taught her yesterday, my father hasn't played with me recently. He even asked me if I wanted a different mother. But I don't want to change my mother. I want my mother." Nangong Yu said such words, which reminded Gong Qinli of a picture. Does Nangong Luo really want to kick Zhou Yun, the empress of the palace? And then continue to pursue her? Joke. At that time, everyone will think that she, Gong Qinli, is meddling in someone else's marriage. Okay, I understand what you mean, but what you are doing is unnecessary. Zhou Yun, you'd better get up. I don't have the habit of being worshipped by others. Ms. Gong, do you disagree? I will not agree to your request because your request is nonsense. Miss Gong, I actually saw you and Luo coming out of Grandpa's house that day. They were so harmonious that they seemed like a family. Although I am Luo's wife, I know very well that I don't have the capital to show off my power. I can only beg you to help our mother and daughter. Yuer cannot lose his father. Zhou Yun naturally knows Gong Qinli's character. I couldn't hold Gong Qinli from the identity. Borrowing Nangong Luo's wife's identity, it would let Gong Qinli oppose her, so she could only adopt this way. Bringing Nangong Yu here is just to gain sympathy. I said last time that I have nothing to do with him. The answer this time is still the same. I don't recognize what you said, and I won't promise you anything. Gong Qinli turned his back to her, feeling a little impatient. Because she didn't know how to explain it so that Zhou Yun could understand it. Zhou Yun suddenly grabbed Nangong Yu's hand and shouted, "Yuer, kneel down." Hello. Before Gong Qinli could stop him, she turned around and saw the child being forcibly pulled and kneeling on the ground. This made Gong Qinli feel a little uneasy about her conscience. Zhou Yun, don't be like this. You don't know, as a wife and a mother, you really want to maintain your own family. As I said last time, he has an undesirable desire to conquer you. I can't control his heart. I can only come. Please. Zhou Yun expressed one idea over and over again. Gong Qinli's ears felt like they were getting calloused, and she felt very uncomfortable. If she really wants to Nangong Luo away, she can achieve her goal even if she doesn't need Xiao Yuer. Now that she has Xiao Yuer, it's really easy to get to the top. But she didn't want to, she didn't want that false identity. You simply can't communicate. Let me say it for the last time. I don't have those thoughts. You can leave. Gong Qinli's attitude is very clear. Zhou Yun pulled her daughter up to stand still. Who would have expected that Nangong Yu would suddenly point at Gong Qinli and yell, and reach out to hit her, "Bad woman. I'll beat you to death." Xiao Yuer, who was hiding aside, suddenly ran out to protect Gongkin Li. "Don't hit my mother. Nangang Yu will not be obedient." She suddenly stretched out her hand and pushed Xiao Yu away hard. There was a loud dong sound as it hit the ground. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1239. Chapter 1239. Xiao Yuer was injured and fell into coma. Nangang Yu pushed Xiao Yuer to the ground hard, and her head hit the floor with a loud thud. This scene was beyond everyone's expectations. The moment Gongkin Li saw her daughter being pushed to the ground, she was so frightened that her heart almost jumped out of her chest. "Yuer." Gongkin Li quickly reached out to hug her daughter, only to find that Xiao Yuer had her eyes closed tightly and didn't respond. The head that hit the ground gradually began to bleed with bright red blood. Bloodstains spread to Gongkin Li's fingers, and her hands trembled. "Yuer, don't scare mommy." Gongkin Li sent Xiao Yuer to the hospital as quickly as possible. Unexpectedly, this push directly sent Xiao Yuer into the operating room. Zhong Yun was guarding outside with Nangang Yu, who had caused trouble, and her heart was numb with nervousness. If something happens to Xiao Yuer, their mother and daughter will suffer. Nangang Luo didn't wait for Gongkin Li and Xiao Yuer at the old man's side. He hesitated for a long time and finally decided to call and ask. Hearing Gongkin Li's panicked voice on the phone, he realized that something was wrong. The nurse's voice came accidentally on the phone, and Nangang Luo immediately asked, "Lu Li? Are you in the hospital?" Gongkin Li couldn't care less about hiding anything now. She was filled with worry. Yuer, she fainted and entered the operating room. It's been half an hour and she doesn't know what's going on. What should I do? What should I do? Don't worry, I'll be right over. Nangang Luo put away his cell phone and was about to walk out. Mr. Nangang, who had gotten up from the bed at some point, suddenly called him from behind. "Luo, what happened?" "Grandpa is fine. Li Yulai said he has something to do today and can't come. I'll go help with it." "Oh." Nangang Luo made up a nonsense reason and rushed to the hospital without stopping. It was almost 50 minutes after Xiao Yuer was sent to the operating room. Zhong Yun was also waiting outside with Nangang Yu in her arms. Gongkin Li paced back and forth, very anxious. Nangang Yu, who had just gotten into trouble, was also a little scared. She asked, "Mommy, is someone going to die?" "Don't talk nonsense." Zhong Yun quickly covered her mouth, but Gongkin Li had already heard it. Gongkin Li strode over and forced Nangang Yu out, warning fiercely, "You are talking nonsense and I will tear your mouth apart." Nangang Yu didn't listen. "It's like this on TV, you're going to die." 3-year-old Nangang Yu still has no real concept of death. Not knowing what a horrible nightmare this word is for a worried mother. Zhong Yun wants to get her daughter back. Gongkin Li pulled Nangang Yu back, raised her hand and slapped Nangang Yu on the face. Snapped. After the slap, it seemed as if the whole world was quiet for a second. When Nangang Luo, Mrs. Nangang, and Zhong Mu arrived together, they happened to bump into the scene. Mrs. Nangang, who came in a hurry, was also anxious. "What's going on?" Only Nangang Luo stood beside Gongkin Li and asked, "How is yours condition?" Zhong's mother rushed over. "You woman, what do you want? How dare you hit my granddaughter?" The arrogant Zhong Mu also raised her hand to slap Gongkin Li, but Nangang Luo caught it steadily with one hand. Zhong Mu pointed at him and accused, "Why are you helping outsiders?" Nangang Luo didn't answer, but restricted Zhong Mu's movements. Gongkin Li raised her eyes and glanced at everyone, and warned coldly, "So what if you hit someone? If you hurt my daughter, she won't get better." End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 1240. Chapter 1240. The dagger cuts Nangongyu's hand. Zhonyun was anxious. You didn't do it on purpose. Do you have to worry about a 3-year-old child? Then have you ever thought that my Yuer is only 3 years old? If she is injured 1 point, I will have to pay 2 points to your daughter. Nangongyu was so frightened that she cried and struggled beside Gongqinli, shouting, "Mommy, help me." Gongqinli was not moved by her tears at all. Zhonyun was suffering from an acute illness and went to the doctor indiscriminately. She put her hope in Nangong Luo and begged, "Luo, please save Yuer quickly." Mrs. Nangong, the only one with freedom, could not balance both sides. "Stop arguing, what is going on?" Seeing her granddaughter suffer at the hands of Gongqinli, Mrs. Nangong couldn't bear it and advised, "Luli, Yuer is still a child, don't get hurt, let's talk about things." Humbling words to defend Nangongyu aroused Gongqinli's anger. "Nangongyu pushed my daughter down, and now she has been in the operating room for an hour without any news. Do you think I can speak properly? As a mother, you are strong." She glanced at this group of people coldly, and suddenly realized that these people were all here for Nangongyu. This is a family. Even if Nangongyu gets into trouble wantonly, there is a group of people who will defend and plead for her. But her Yuer is her only one. Gongqinli was already extremely worried, but she did not dare to tell the Gong family about this, for fear that they would be too worried. Zhonyun had called Zhong's mother before, because the matter was urgent, so Zhong's mother only heard that her daughter and granddaughter were in the hospital. At that time, Mrs. Nangong was with Mother Zhong, so she came together. The current scene was formed. Since it was Nangongyu who made the mistake, she should bear the corresponding responsibility no matter how old she is. Zhonyun frowned in disbelief. "Luo, how could you do this?" Zhonyun knew that Nangong Luo didn't care about Nangongyu, but the relationship he had lived with for 4 years was still not worth a child who had been around for a month. Mrs. Nangong was also anxious. "Luo, you really didn't mean it. Please advise Li Yulai." Mrs. Nangong has been dissatisfied with Nangongyu recently, but in her opinion, Nangongyu is still the biological granddaughter of the Nangong family. At the critical moment, it is definitely more important that she is her biological daughter. Gongqinli saw through this scene. "That's enough, there's no point in saying anything until my daughter is safe." At this moment, the door to the operating room opened. The doctor with sweat on his forehead told them that the operation was successful. Gongqinli breathed a big sigh of relief and chased the car out, guarding her daughter until she was transferred to the general ward. The doctor said, fortunately, he was sent to the hospital in time. The injury to his head was minor or major, and he was hospitalized for observation afterwards to prevent blood clots from accumulating. The head has a lot of tissue, and seemingly ordinary collisions can have serious consequences. Seeing the layer of gauze wrapped around her daughter's head, she felt scared. Nangong Luo stood beside her, holding her shoulders with his warm hands. "It's okay." Everyone breathed a sigh of relief knowing that Xiao Yuer was out of danger. Mrs. Nangong prompted Zhonyun to take the child in to apologize. "Yuer, apologize to your aunt and sister quickly." Nangongyu was so scared when she saw Gongqinli that she wanted to run out. Gongqinli suddenly grabbed Nangongyu to her side, spread her palm out, and magically conjured a knife to quickly slash her palm. Nangongyu suddenly screamed in pain. Zhonyun was extremely shocked and snatched her daughter back. Next to her, she was shocked by Gongqinli's actions. The previous chapter was blocked, and I don't know why, so it seems to you that one chapter may be missing. End of this chapter.